for the heart. Thank you, my darling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my honor to be here. This may have to be raised a little bit by somebody who knows how to do that. Clay, can you raise the mic here? Or Dick?
You're an amateur here.
Yeah, I'm an amateur. I like the lapel mics.
Yeah.
The funny thing about, yep, that's
Like a
good.
height.
I think that's good. When I was invited to come out and speak here so many years ago, as Karen's mentioned, the speakers don't get paid, and I live 5-hour flight, and there's, you know how expensive California is. And I thought, how am I going to do this? And that was when I wrote my first book, the big white one that some of you have, Bridge Matter and Spirit with Dowsing. So it was determination. I wanted to come. I was invited to come. I felt honored back then. I feel honored now. And the way I funded it was through writing the book. So even if we have no money, we can ask for the resources to bring us out here. Here's my clicker. Turn my clicker on. And there we go. So I would like to thank the teachers. And this is the teachers here today and the teachers that are in other places as well. So part of my path, I'm from Canada, past president of the Canadian Society of Dowsers. I've spoken in Canada, across the country, and I've spoken in Britain with my brothers and sisters there, and here in the States as well, all over the place. If you look at this picture, this is the opening ceremony 2 years ago at the ASD National, and the man in the light is my friend White Eagle. And this is a photograph taken by Bill Getz, who you know is a very excellent water dowser. And that's Sandy Mack in the background, myself, and the one hidden is Graham Gardner, president of the British Society, and Nancy Bradley. And we stand in ceremony for each other. Sometimes ceremony seems like empty ritual. I think a lot of us were brought up in places where ceremony didn't actually mean an awful lot. But as I got into the dowsing world, I found ceremony actually has power. And in this case, we were standing in the 4 directions for the opening ceremony for White Eagle, and he was calling in Divine Source. And the light around him is amazing. So this is part of the orb work that we do. And I'd like to shout out to Gary Plapp, because 10 years ago when I came at that conference, and I had all these orb pictures on my camera, and I was very nervous, and there was all these engineers and all these really smart people out here in California, and Gary's one of them. And I said, Gary, what do you think that is? And he said, that's an energy phenomenon. And I thought, that's perfect, that we don't know really what it is. It's a phenomena. And we can say that about dowsing on a broader scale. We may not be able to explain it. It's an energy phenomena. It works. We can talk about quantum physics, and lots of us do that. We can bring in quantum entanglement, the collapse of the quantum wave. We don't need to go into science because we know in our hearts the kinds of things that work. But the funny story on that is, today Gary came to me, picked up my orb book, and he said, what do you think these things are? And I said, Gary, they're energy phenomena. And he, oh, right on. So we teach each other, you know, in the conversations. And it's fun to go to the workshops and the classrooms, but a lot of the learning is just around the tables at the meal, or out in the yard, or walking the labyrinth, just meeting people. The conversations are fantastic. So I would like to thank the teachers. I'm going to move to my bobber now. I use the bobber because you can see it. It's a great guide for me. It helps guide my thoughts, memories, actions, works, and deeds. You recognize Walt Woods there? So I work with the energy of the sky dowsers, as well as the energy of the living. And before I came in, this is my yes. For those of you that clockwise is my yes for me, I invite you to check this. Some of the sky dowsers said they would show up, as I called their name, kind of a roll call. So you can see it. You can see if they're coming in. Some of these energies are still very happy to work with us. So the information is never lost. So they taught us things they still have things to teach us, and they have more experience now. So what Walt Woods taught me, and I'm trying to think, what is the thing, you know, in one sentence, what could you say? But Walt, what he said is, once you know you can do it, you can do it. And I thought, right on, you know, and for a lot of what we do, we don't know what the problem is necessarily, but we detect, we go in and we find, we drill down through the methods we all have to discover the problems we have. Once you know what the issue is that is causing the thing you're experiencing that perhaps you're not happy with in your life, you say, oh, there it is, I see it. Once you see it, you can remove it. Once you know you can do it, you can do it. Raymond Grace, we know him. I met him years ago, and I think he was probably the first one that taught me that dowsing is not just informational, show me yes, show me no. I think he was probably the first one that showed me, and probably a lot of us, that you could disconnect non-beneficial energies from something, water, for example, and then maximize energies. He taught me that you can transform energy. And Raymond, he's not traveling so much, but he's doing all kinds of international things. I was in Italy recently teaching in body, and Raymond was Skyping in. And we were talking, and it was a kind of a normal thing. So I love the technology that we have. We can Skype each other around the world, and it's just like having a conversation. We kind of look into each other's space, and even language is not a barrier. And Graham Gardner, my partner in International Dowsers, he was also there. It was like the UN. They had dowsers in from Russia, there was a contingent from Brazil, all over the place. We all had the little earphones, simultaneous translation in the back. So I used to say the English-speaking world was my market. It's not, I'm from the Toronto area. It's not the Toronto market, the Canada market. I used to say it's the English-speaking market, but really we have a global, I say market. It is our territory. That's a word that I like to introduce. What are we responsible? Who are we responsible? What area are we responsible for? And we can douse that out. One of the things that we might do a little bit later on. What am I responsible for? Many horses. I don't think anybody here ever met him, but these are, the people here you don't know. He died last Saturday, and I still use a prayer that he taught me, and I will present it to you. Creator, forgive me, I forgive myself. I forgive all those who have harmed me. I release them from my body, mind, and spirit, so I am free. And I ask all those who I have harmed to forgive me. So he was a Wet'suwet'en elder, and in his tradition, which I adopted much of, apparently he'll be kind of hanging around for a few days, and he's still available. So the wisdom of the elders, following the directions. Somebody once said to me, I get my information from the East. But we can get our information from all the directions. So through many horses, I learned to honor the directions. And when I'm doing any earth energy work or finding water wells, I always begin by honoring the directions. I have my little compass out, I find the directions, and I honor each direction and each color and what all things represent. So it's one of my triage systems. So I honor my friend Many Horses, also known as Frank Austin, and may he go with the eagles. May he soar with the eagles. He's holding a condor feather there. That's like a big feather to have on. Our friend Ed Stillman, an excellent water dowser. The thing he taught me that I remember most in my dowsing is to ask my dowsing to be free of thought forms from people living or dead. And especially when you're out on the land doing water and you're trying to clear something, somebody's old thought form, not even a curse, but it's like, oh, this land will never have water, kind of thing. Or all the preconceptions, when we start to work with the ancestors, when we're balancing something or clearing something, we need to remove the thought forms of people living or dead. Graham Gardner, my guide to the ancient sites and geomantic excitement of the universe. So, as president of the Canadian Society, I always had an outreach mentality. So we have, our local chapters and our Canadian chapters, but I was always interested in going beyond what else is out there. And that's what took me to ASD National. It's what brought me here and continues to take me around. And I think Graham also had that outreach mentality, that even though Britain is a little island and Scotland is an independent nation up there, Graham also always had the outreach. And this is his first time here. We welcome everybody in their first time, wherever they've come from. And we travel from all over and all dimensions. Dr. Patrick McManaway, he's another past president of the British Society. And I think he was one of the people that first taught me that shape has power. And in our classes with him, he would put us in a triangle shape, a circle shape, a square shape, and the energy changed on everything. So the energy of shapes, and the human shape, and the shapes we wear on ourselves, whatever our patterns are, or black. We all wear all black. Maybe that's good, maybe not. He also began my education on electromagnetic frequencies. So we start from nothing. Those of you who know me know I started from a place where I was not healthy in the least. So this has been my healing journey. Sandy Mack taught me many things. One of the big things she taught me was to release the cellular memory of the event. So we go around disconnecting things, clearing things, balancing things, particularly in the body. But we need also to release the cellular memory of the event. Another thing Sandy Mack taught me was that if you can't forgive somebody, you can give the accountability for the action back to them. Because sometimes things happen, and honestly, we're all supposed to be all full of love, but sometimes things happen and it's very hard to forgive. We can give the accountability for the action. Whatever happened to you, give the accountability back to the other person. That's their stuff. And as my friend Many Horses used to say, we go from being a victim to being a survivor. And more than a survivor, we can learn to thrive. So no matter what has happened in the past, no matter how you have been taken down by somebody else, doesn't matter. It can leave in an instant. I was at ASD National last week, and a woman beside me said, "Oh, I hear in about 18 months there's going to be a huge ascension, transformation. In 18 months it's going to happen." And I said, "Oh, no, it's happening right now." Well, no, it's 18 months. No, it's right now. And honestly, it is right now. We were in our workshop earlier, and one of the women found something that was a deep-seated issue, but as soon as she identified it, she was able to clear it instantly, and you could feel the difference. Who we have that? Here is a lovely man, David Cowan, from Crieff in Scotland. He's also known as the Layman, L-E-Y man. He marched all over Scotland, thousands of kilometers or miles, with his rods, chasing out all the energies up and down and all around. And really, the amount of work he has put in is unbelievable. So he taught me perseverance, and get some good hiking boots, go out in the rain, get a raincoat, be prepared, be out there. His Holiness the Dalai Lama taught me detached compassion. So that is the place that I always try to dose from. Honestly, we can't care at all. We can observe, we're compassionate, we don't take it in. We are detached, but compassionate. Oh, I see you have pain. It doesn't mean you take the pain on. I see you have a problem. It's not your problem. You can't help people if you are going down into their problem with them. You can acknowledge it. I see you have this issue. How can I help? Lynn McTaggart, who wrote The Field and The Intention Experiment, a researcher who really, I think, legitimized for a lot of us all this vast research. She spent a lot of time collecting information and putting it down and giving us, as intuitives, we're all natural intuitives here, but she made a handy reference for, well, look at this study and look at what the scientist is saying, and look at the proof systems we have, which, God bless her for doing that. That woman is Merlin Beltane. So she's got the coolest name in the world, very likely. for those of you who follow the Celtic tradition. Some of you are laughing, so that's good. Obviously, her real name was Lynn, but she went into Merlin Beltane. She was president of the Canadian Society of Questers. So we're here at this conference. There are many conferences in many places. And she also had outreach. And she taught me, she was my first sister, really, in the dowsing world, like total stranger, but we have a common heart. So she became, I think, my first sister on that. White Eagle, who was the magnificent orb in our first picture, what he taught me, who's going to care in 100 years, right? We get all locked into our drama. And honestly, who cares about the drama? The drama means nothing. The story is usually just a story. And as Raymond Grace once said, if you could correct the problem by talking about it, it would be corrected. So who's going to care in 100 years? So let go of the little stuff. It's not a big deal, right? Ivan Macbeth, I don't know whether he's ever made it out here. With him, he has built more stone circles, I think, than any living person at this point. It's 240. So he actually gets the 2-ton stones on rollers and ropes and builds these things. And I had the pleasure of participating in a build with him. And my girlfriend and I, who weighed 100 pounds, we pushed a 2-ton rock along the rollers, you know? They say they could never build. It must be ETs that built Stonehenge, right? But in fact, with ropes and rocks and logs, you can do things. And Ivan is, he's a magical creature. And if you ever get a chance to meet him, please take that opportunity. He runs a Druidry school in Vermont now. Gary Skillen, he's a Canadian. He was one of my first teachers. He was the guy that taught me you can actually use these skills and make a business helping people. He was an agricultural guy, and look how he's nodding there, right? So Gary Skillen, he was the first guy that taught me about earth energies, and if you stall cattle on top of non-beneficial earth grids, your cattle will not do well. I forgot to mention one of the things Patrick McManaway talked about. He's gone down to Australia, he's used geomantic and fabulous techniques, and he's been able to increase the crocodile crop. So they're breeding, or is it alligators? One or the other. They're breeding alligators or crocodiles. He's gone down there, done some earth energy magic, and their crocodile crop is big. So that's a fabulous thing. Oh, here's some lovely ladies. There's Pearl, who's somewhere here, and I haven't seen Pearl for a long time. There she is, darling. And standing beside Gladys McCoy, and these two women are, you know, it's guts and grace in all things, honestly. I remember the first time I saw Pearl, it was 4th of July, and you got up there, and you were stars and stripes on, and just the passion for life for both Pearl and for Gladys. Besides the normal things they teach us, it's a style of being alive that is an inspiration. So thank you. And of course, Karen Ashley's in there too. And Karen taught me about hugs. And again, sisterhood. That even though we don't know each other, and even though we only see each other every 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, that there's a commonality in the heart, and we recognize each other. We find our lifetime friends and bonds, and I was going to say enemies, but I'm not going to say that. One thing, you know, we have our passionate disagreements. We have our passionate agreement, and then we have our passionate disagreement. But in the end, we are looking for truth, and the truth is all there is. One of the things I say to quiet the monkey mind, because you get out there and you're working and, you know, there's all this chatter going on, I sometimes simply say, the truth. I ask for the truth. I can handle the truth. Because one thing I've found with my spirit team, and I'm sure you are working with spirit teams, that not so much now, but I would ask a question. You know, people say, well, when you're dowsing, you just get the answer you want. And part of that, I think, is because our spirit teams so much want to please us that they'll say yes to everything. Oh, yes, yes, eat the chocolate cake. Yes, you know, do these things. So we got to scale them back and say, the truth. I can handle the truth. I want the truth. Another little tip for your spirit teams, and you can check on this, and if you're new, you can in this instant, because all these guys are coming in this instant, you can ask for the assistance of beneficial beings in resonance with you, in resonance with the divine source, who can assist you gather information and help you make decisions and take action in your life. So you can ask for assistance of beneficial beings that will do that. With your spirit team, check to see if any of them have been human. Because if none of the beings on your spirit team have ever been human, they're going to not be able to advise you on how to be a human. I know they have had, in the past, I've had great expectations of me. I get asked to go out and do things, but it's an unreasonable amount. So some of you may feel guided, I'm being asked to do this and this and this and this. But honestly, it's too much for us because we have to be human, we've got our families, we have to go to work, we have to take out the garbage. So sometimes our spirit teams ask us too much. So then we ask, just give me the important stuff to do. At this time, I can't handle that. I remember one night I was supposed to go out and make a speech the next day. In those days, I did have a lot of pain, a lot of mobility issues, and I actually couldn't walk. I'm lying in bed, pain in my knee, and I'm supposed to go out and do something the next day, and I make deals. I say, guys, I will go out and do that, but I can't walk. You got to fix that. And in the instant, the pain went away. So sometimes you get a spontaneous healing or a spontaneous miracle. For me, getting over my rheumatoid arthritis, it took me 5 years to get off all the drugs. And now I don't take any drugs. And I don't take any vitamins or supplements and all this. My entire energy self-care program is, I face the direction north, give myself a thymus thump, and I ask all my body systems to be in resonance with the beneficial energies of the planet. I ask all my body systems to be in resonance with the beneficial energies of the planet. And that is fabulous. It's very easy to do, and you've got your K27s in there. We can get all technical with all kinds of things, but just, we were born on the planet, most of us. I'm now working with more of an alien population, so it's okay to be an alien, or a hybrid, or living here in a simultaneous life, or a fully multidimensional being. In the workshop the other day, we were doing soul retrieval, and we'll be doing that tomorrow as well. I thought I had all my soul parts back, and then I started asking, well, it seems to be true that I am living simultaneous lives as a multidimensional being, and I don't have all the soul parts back on those other lives. So this is the exciting thing is that every time we do something or talk to each other, there's a whole new area to work. You can check that for yourselves. Is it true that I, say your own name, am living a simultaneous life somewhere else? You can ask, how many lives am I living? You can ask, am I living some of these lives on another planet? Am I living some of these lives as a non-human? And we've been doing this. It's pretty recent work, and I don't have all the answers on that, but I can tell you that people are getting very surprising answers. So it's a whole excellent field of work, and so many people feel like they don't belong. And I have a client base, they want to go home, they don't belong here, and they're frustrated, they'd like to do something. Well, we do belong here. And I say dowsing is our birthright technology, that this is what we are meant to do. The fabulous thing is now we are getting older. My friend Many Horses said in other times we would have all been dead by now. One way or the other, none of us with our practices and our knowledge and our ability would have survived much. We'd all be gone. So this is the time we get to grow old and we get to pass on the information. The beauty of all this now is that it must be true. We remember it. This kind of ability that we have, many groups have tried to suppress, but the fact is we remember how to do it. Every time we remember how to do it. My friend Adi, two owls, also known as white raven. One of the many things she's taught me is there is a time to be silly and a time to be serious, and sometimes it's the same time. So when I first met Adi, when we met, we would just look at each other and laugh. And that was the basis of our relationship for several years. And we had no reason to laugh, but we would just look at each other and laugh. So, be serious, have ceremony, but have joy as well. And Feather is one of the folks who leads the circle dances, for example, through music and through joy and through dance and interaction. It is a fabulous opportunity always to share together. Joey Korn, one of the many things he taught me was the blessing process that many of you know, and also his fabulous work with the Kabbalah, which I've tried to explain that to people, and honestly, it's very difficult to explain. But there's a living energy around us all that is intersecting, that we can interpret many ways. We interpret things culturally as well, so that when you're from a different country, you'll experience energy or interpret energy a different way. And when we share the different ways we culturally experience something, so if you see a leprechaun, or if you see a Sasquatch, or if you see an alien, so many, show of hands, how many people have had alien encounters? If you want, there's enough people, right? So the more we talk about this, this is one of the last taboos, I think. I ask people, are you interested in angels? Yes, we are. Are you interested in aliens? No, we're not. But, I invite you to dose at some point. Can we use those words interchangeably? Maybe. Are aliens and angels the same thing? Are the ancient gods that they referred to, are they the same thing? So who knows? There is no right or wrong. I certainly don't have the answers, but with the teachers giving so much, we can approach that. And the other secret I have, I only do my personal work when I'm presenting to an audience, because I don't have the nerve to do it myself. If I'm sitting there by myself, I can't do it, because I'm too much in my ego. I'm too much me. I can't get accurate answers. But one of the things that happens when I'm up here talking, I go, oh, goodness gracious, simultaneous lives. Whatever it is. Our pal Harold McCoy. Some of these guys are coming in, so check to see if you feel anything, or maybe later they'd like to. Harold's always a very enthusiastic participant in many things. Oh yeah. Bruce McGill, my very first teacher. He taught me I talk about geoprosperous places now, geoprosperity. That comes out of Brucey's work. He got up one day and taught us about the laughing spot. And he's a big man, as you can see. He got up on stage and he found with his rods a place that was the laughing spot, and he stands on it, and it's a place where you have to laugh uncontrollably. And then he would get other people up on the spot, and they would get on there, and it was like, the laughing juice went in them. So it was hilarious to watch. We should do that on a fun night, perhaps. But he made the point, there is a spot where you can laugh. There is a spot that will help you with whatever you need. So maybe you have a health issue. Maybe you've got something in you that needs a little adjusting. You could ask with your tools, is there a spot close by, and it's going to be around the campus, or a handy spot that will give me the energy that I need to help me deal with the problem. So you can do physical transformation on that, emotional. You're kind of stuck in an idea. You find the spot, you go blank, and then see what comes in. The laughing spot. So what is our legacy? So I've named some people, and I am, the other thing I've always tried to do is to go to the lecture of the oldest person, right? And now our generation is getting to be the oldest people, so we do need some younger people. Take the information and do something with it. So that these kids, they don't have to go through it all again. One of my legacies, this is a lovely picture in Japan. Climbed up the mountain, and you can see where the snow line comes down. This is like a 2-hour hike up. We have a picnic. It's all a scree slope. Scree slope is boulders that have no vegetation around them. So we have a picnic, go down the mountain, another 2 hours down. The next day I go to pay the bill for the hotel, which is extraordinarily expensive, and my little black wallet is missing. We tear the luggage apart, we tear the hotel room apart, and it's like, I can't find it. And then Frank Jordan, who I don't have a photo of, up in Idaho, he once told me, because I kept asking him to repeat things, and he got very irritated, and he said, it's in your subconscious mind, just pull it up. So this was a case where I had to do that, where I had to go back in time, quiet the mind. Where was I? Now, a parallel story to that was the day before, I had asked my son, do you ever use your dowsing anymore? Because, of course, I raised the kids to be high beings, but they learned to dowse. It was never weird for them. And my son said, well, not really. I'm too busy at work. And I said, well, if you ever need it, it will come back. And, of course, the next day I lost my wallet. So he ran up the mountain, and he found it. And look at the scree slope. It's all boulders and black. Unbelievable. And he said he just used his car keys, and he walked to the path, go up the path on the dirt path, and then cross over onto the stone. Just had his car keys, and it took him in one direction, took him in the other direction, and he just put his hand down and picked it up. It's like, oh my. Fabulous. So I'm grateful to him and all the young people, the children's program we have. It's just normal. This is the other thing I like to say. This is normal, what we do. It may not be average, but it's normal. So the teachers taught share what you know. Gary Skillen, who was one of those fellows I showed you there, Brucey died without pain some years back, and Gary was his buddy, and I was teaching the class with Gary, and we were talking about Bruce, and Gary said to me, Brucey told me how to die without pain. And I said, can you tell me what that is? And he said, no, it's too personal. And then Gary died. So, but Gary's still here, and Brucey's here. So you could ask those guys, how do you die without pain? And they'll tell you. Share what you know before you're dead. That's why I write the books. Honestly, I write the books. As soon as I have enough information that's coherent, I put it in a book. I put everything I know in. As soon as it's printed, I get a whole new load of information. Okay, so then I work and work and work, and there's another whole load of information. If you just keep inside what you know, your cup is full. How can you get more when your cup is full? Be in service, that's the major thing. Back in the day, when I was trying to heal myself, I said, dear God, using all the things that I had learned at that point, I asked to be healthy in all aspects of my being, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, energetic. In those days, I was using a little message chart, like a one-person Ouija board, and the message came back. I asked for perfect health. Message came back, not as long as you ask. So as long as I was asking for me, dear God, heal me, it's like, no. But I carried on in service, and one day I was teaching. I had a workshop scheduled. There was only one person that showed up. She was a rheumatoid, and I couldn't work directly on her. I was allowed to work directly on myself, and finally that was the end of my journey with that. So being in service for somebody else. I tried everything to be rid of the arthritis. After 20 years, I held a party, a completion party. I said, well, let's have an end. Let's have a ceremonial end to this disease. I'm done with it. I did all the affirmation stuff, but that didn't work. Being in service works. Theodore Roosevelt, I think, said, do the best you can with what you have where you are. So we're not all fabulous dowsers, but we're fabulous at something. You know something. Do whatever you can where you are right now, because this, exactly in this second, is the moment of ascension. This is when the giant transformation, this is the rapture right now, right? It's not later. And it's normal, if not average. And if we don't do it, nobody will. Like, honestly, not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but we're probably some of the highest conscious people on the planet right now. And Raymond Grace always would say that kind of thing as well. But the people in this room, and the people like us, in different places, we have a pretty highly evolved state of consciousness that we have insight that we share with each other into how do we move forward. We're the ones that make it happen. As the Hopi elders, of course, said, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And the power of community, it's very, I find personally, it's very hard all by myself, in my room. I can't even do my own work by myself. But the power of community when we come together. So this is ASD National, and there's the moment, I'm taking orbs all the time, there's the moment when everybody turns and greets each other, and this is the sort of orb energy that just shows up. All the orbs are taken with an ordinary camera. It just kind of happens with intention. So let me tell you more about me, right? So I started off clairsentient. I was afraid of what was under the bed. I was the little kid. This is not a picture of me, but I seriously used to play in a stool because that's where I felt safe. And naturally, my family would tease me. I was the youngest, and I was the different one. And they would say, oh, look out, there's a draft behind you. And what I heard was a draft. I didn't know what it was. I would jump up screaming because I could always feel that stuff. I was afraid of the dark until I was 45. It was like, it's a really shut down way to live. But back in the day, I was an artist, and I had deja vus experiences. How many folks get that? Probably all the time. And people say, you know, if you research deja vu, they say, oh, it's associated with epileptic fits. That's about all you can find. I thought, well, that's not really very helpful. And it's not a similar experience, it's exactly the same experience. So there's one I had, and I guess they come in the dream time, but it was a couple of minute deja vu. I'm seeing the little movie, I'm in it. There's a conversation, a technical conversation going on, and I don't even know the words that are being said. And at the end of the little mini dream, I put my hand up, I'll take care of that, no worries. And I think I woke myself up. It was like a nightmare. It's like, oh my God, what have I committed to? But 10 years later, I ended up in exactly a high-tech situation, and it all plays out, and now I know all the words and everything. So I transitioned into the big money market, and look how cute I am back then. Back in the day, I was like Princess Di hair. But I wasn't meant to be doing that, obviously. I was all about the money. So that's me, 1982. I'm probably 29 or something in there. And then, so universe gives me all the skills, and then it shuts me down with the rheumatoid arthritis, food sensitivities, found dowsing. And a few years later, I'm symptom-free, drug-free, and I've been ever since. And the big thing I'd like to share about all of that is that the autoimmune disorders can be the self not recognizing the self. Ourselves are attacking ourselves. This led me into investigating soul's purpose. I recovered from all this purely with dowsing, working with the earth energies, finding out where I was sleeping, environmental energies, what kind of food am I eating, but it was the psychic energies really, and I'm putting soul's purpose into psychic energy. Once I aligned myself with what I'm supposed to do, then I could make the deals. Well, give me the resources financially and the health, and I'll go out and do it. And basically that's what happened. So I have a dowsing protocol. I'll just go through it quick. Balance your physical body, connect to the dowsing system, forgive yourself, clear yourself of non-beneficial energy, maximize your energy field, seek the permission to douse. That's the may, I can, I shoulda. If you don't get permission from the person you are working on, really it's a form of black magic and sorcery. So we can't hide this, and it's no longer the time to hide this. If you are working with someone who does think this is inappropriate, you can simply say, may I pray for you? May I do a healing prayer? And that can get around. You don't have to tell them actually what you're doing. May I pray for you? And that's really what it comes down to. But without the permission, it's kind of a black magic. Dowsing is the easy part. It's not hard to pick up a tool and it moves. But how are we safe and how are we accurate? The thing I like to stress, often we douse just in the moment, clear this now, and then you walk away, it comes back. If we create an ongoing energy matrix that automatically creates the perfect conditions and automatically adjusts as the conditions change, then we have a permanent solution. So an example of that, let's give an issue a number of 100. So we clear the issue 100, but then the issue changes to 100.1. Well, whatever we've done doesn't clear 100.1. It still looks pretty much like the same issue, but our program is no longer clear. So it's the blessing process. So you can make a very complicated system and then trigger it somehow. But go back occasionally and check to see that your programs are running. And Raymond Grace was one of the first people I knew that started working on the schools, clearing the hospitals with ongoing systems. So when you set up one of these clearing programs for a school, for example, as long as it's appropriate to do, go back and check it once in a while. When we were running conferences in Canada, sometimes we would be directed to go to a particular university to hold our event. And what seemed to be happening was that as we were there doing our work, we changed the energy of the campus and improved it. And then we'd go to another campus and we'd do our work there. Always disconnect, that's the biggest thing. And I always say, and you can check is this true, that the energy places and the energy people can be some of the most dangerous if we don't disconnect from the session. So when you end a session, disconnect clearly. Know that you're disconnecting. When you leave the conference, disconnect from that stuff. Otherwise, we're dragging everything around. I'm very polite. I like to thank the energies I've worked with and communicate appropriately. I'd mostly like to talk about posture, though. And you've noted, those of you who have seen me speak before or teach before know that I always stand like this. You know, like sometimes I stand on the very edge of the stage. If I have a lapel mic on, I'll get out there with my, just like almost flying out, but it's like the warrior stance. That's what the power is in the body. And if we can have a straight spine, if possible, if you douse slouched over with one shoulder, one elbow on the table and your legs crossed and, you know, doing all this, your energy isn't going to be as clean as if you're standing in your power. So always feel like you're ready to rock and roll. That's how we engage the world. And our bodies, because we are getting older, our bodies have to carry us for as long as possible. I have an excellent new chiropractor. One of the things he said to me was, and this is about my knee, I'm a mechanical thing on my knee, he said, even a broken gate, even a rusty gate can work if it's in the right place. So it's like, I've waited 30 years for this guy. It's like, man, if I had found him 30 years ago, I would never have had to go through all the pain. So don't give up hope. And I'd like to acknowledge my friend Susan McNeil-Spuler, who never gave up hope also. It's guts and determination, and don't give up. Don't, oh my God, I can't do it. Oh, I tried and it didn't work. I have people come up to me and say, well, I tried it once and it didn't work. Well, you know, it takes practice. It's like playing the violin or learning a sport or learning anything. Just get out there, do it every day, 24/7. The physical body is the platform for the energy body. The energy body's coming in, here's the physical body, we fix up the energy, but let's not ignore that we're on the physical body. Let's have comfortable shoes. The energy body needs alignment to function. Now, earlier today, the last time I ran through my presentation, The computer froze when I got to this slide, conscious stillness. So I thought, okay, I'm getting it here. Conscious stillness. So conscious meditation. One of the things Adi taught me was to meditate and journey with my eyes open. And my friend Many Horses, who was incredible, he could look at the person and he would see everything around them. And he still loved us, which was lovely. But to be fully seen by somebody and to be accepted is a huge form of love. So conscious, it's nice, it's very relaxing if you want to go to sleep. Close your eyes and go to the beach and do all these things. But if you can stay conscious while you meditate, stay conscious on the journey, stay focused, go to the superconscious, go to the subconscious, and then come back to the conscious. One thing Many Horses taught me, when you're on a journey, come back the way you went out. Many of you probably journey, we go through the upper worlds, lower worlds. It's fascinating what you see, and if you've never done a journey, find someone to do that with. You see things in the distance, you see interesting things around the corner. It's very tempting to keep going, and it's also easy to get lost. I'll tell a short story about a colleague of mine who, after 9/11, she had no way to filter what was going on with her. So the protocol does give you a filter. And this relates to the journeys as well, that she was a conscious seer, and she hadn't created the portal, but it turned out where she lived, on the second floor, became a place where the firefighters and folks that had died, some of them, in 9/11, they would open her door and walk up the stairs and then keep going. And it was happening enough, she couldn't stop it, she would have a pillow over her head, and what really bothered her is they would always leave the door open. So she got to the point when she'd hear the door open and starting up the stairs, she would yell at them, "Shut the door!" And they did. They slammed the door and then they kept going. But really she needed to be able to control that because she couldn't, and it created distress for her. As we voyage interdimensionally, and the possibilities are endless, we need to be able to come back safely. We need a route home, whatever that is for you. So stay conscious on the meditation, on the journey. Lucid dreaming, I have a desire to be in a state of grace 24/7. How do I do that? Through lucid dreaming. Before I go to sleep, I just ask for useful information. Please give me some information tonight in a way I can understand and remember that will assist me in whatever the thing is I'm doing. Honestly, I wake up every morning and say, I'll do that. That's a good thing. Lucid dreaming in the daytime turns into creative vision. So eyes open. Let us see where we are going. Let us see where we have been. Let us, as Many Horses said, I'm talking about him because he died and he's still around, and I'd like to validate him. He's a great guy, because this is at the stage I was afraid of things. He said to me, when you're crossing the street, don't you want to look both directions? So you want to look at the good stuff. Oh, that's good. But don't you also want to look at the truck that's coming the other way? So pretending it's not there and not looking for it, not acknowledging it. I mean, if it turns out there's something out there that isn't pleasant, well, at least we know. And I see you're there. And what I always say with these things that seem unpleasant, I see you're there, can I help you? And usually it's that. I thought that everything was out to get me, but it's not. They see us, those things that seem like big ugly things, they see us and they come to us often just for help. That poltergeist activity is just like, will somebody please help me? I've got another story to tell. I can talk for days and days, but I know we all want to go and have a beer, but I'll finish soon. A little ghost-busting story, though, which is kind of fun. I was in a restaurant. How can ghost-busting stories be fun? But I was in a restaurant. Turned out there were 5 spirits, and I said, well, do you want to go home? Yes. Do you know where it is? No. There's my sigh. That kind of goes back into intuition there. They couldn't see where they needed to be. And something in me asked about smell. It turned out they were in the restaurant because it smelled like home. They didn't know where home was, but this place smelled good. And they were angry because they couldn't actually eat the food. So we kind of made the deal. I'm always making deals. I said, well, how about we'll take you to a place or help you get to a place where you can actually eat the food. Okay, they got agreement. You always have to get agreement on these things. Raymond Grace once told me that when he started ghost busting, he would just open cupboards and yell, "Get out!" You know, but these things don't know where to go. If they're there, they're stuck, very likely. Anyway, so we got agreement that they would leave, and I always ask, well, how do you want to go? Because it depends on the time frame they're in. You know, some will go on a horse, maybe. These guys, they wanted to go in a cab. And they actually said Uber. So how bizarre is that? So it's the, you know, it's life and death is a lovely thing. So we sent them on their way, and are they fine? Yes. Creative vision. Oh, it stopped again. So really, conscious stillness is the main message on all of this. I have more slides, and I can keep talking and all the rest of it. But the message that all of us have is really share the information. Trust yourself. When you recognize truth in somebody else, like you know the truth when you hear it. You go, oh yeah, I remember that now. So trust that. Surround yourself with people who support your vision, your creative vision. And I can't argue with Spirit. They have shut down the computer. That must be it. So I would like to thank you for allowing me to be here. To everybody, I'd like to let us join together on this incredible voyage in this lifetime and in as many as we can, because I think we'll be around for a while together. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whoop.